Well, some groups say that while there are housing programs for the urban poor, many middle-class Filipinos still find it difficult to afford their own homes. And for more on the country's housing challenges and other economic issues, we're now joined by Professor Emmanuel Leyco. He is the president and chief economist of Credit Rating and Investor Services Philippines Incorporated and a senior fellow at the Center for People Empowerment in Governance, or CENPEG. Good morning, Professor Emmanuel, and welcome to Morning Matters.
Good morning, Pauline, and thank you for having me.
Okay, so we heard from that report that the administration says more than 423,000 housing units have been completed already since 2022 under this expanded 4PH program. How impactful is that, Emmanuel, and will that actually make a meaningful dent in the country's housing backlog?
Well, considering the government's own statistics, this will not really make a big difference. Good thing is being done, but I think homelessness or shortage of housing in the country will continue to prevail.
What would you say are the biggest challenges in delivering affordable housing for Filipinos?
I think the key word there is affordable. Considering the family and income expenditure survey that was made available by the Philippine Statistics Authority, more than 50% of our population does not have excess income. And again, looking at the family budget structure, number one in their budget is food, housing, and again, our shelter, and clothing. However, considering that the majority or a big chunk of the household budget goes to food, transportation, nothing much is left for housing, and therefore many of our population are not able to afford housing. This is very concerning. In the past, I'm not sure if you are familiar with the projects. In the Philippines, they had Project 1, 2, 3, 4. I think they reached up to Project 8. And that was a more deliberate housing program of the government. And also, it has become a buzzword that even led to a very popular song, Jet Prox. I didn't realize that Jet Prox came from the word project. And that was in recognition of a big community that was being housed in those projects. And the government was very active in that housing project. So now we have the Pag-ibig, we have the National Home Mortgage Financing, we have the recently announced, published project of President Marcos. But, even President Marcos said that given the housing shortage of 6 million plus, he wanted to build 1 million houses, 1 million homes a year. But they fell rather short of that goal. So right now, giving housing a priority is a very good step in the right direction, but the government will have to do something that will make it substantial and create an impact. But if the budget of the Filipino households cannot afford housing, more and more of this homelessness, housing shortage will continue to prevail in our country.
Well, under this program, qualified members can access loans at just 3% interest through the Home Development Mutual Fund. But for you, Emmanuel, how sustainable is this model? And realistically, who will be ultimately absorbing the cost of those lower interest rates?
Well, recently, the Bangko Sentral lowered the interest rate. That should create some opportunity for credit that can go to housing. However, if the housing right now continues to be built beyond the reach of the Filipino household, that will not be substantive or in terms of meeting the housing requirements of our people. So right now, there are big housing projects. Major developers are into housing, but we notice that the majority or a big beneficiary of these projects or buyers of these projects are those who have at least double incomes or who have relatives living abroad who are sending them money for mortgage financing. So unless this is addressed in a more holistic manner, first of all, low credit, the middle class families will not be able to afford that, and therefore housing shortage or housing issues will continue to be a problem for a majority of our Filipino population.
And then you also have middle-class families now expressing frustration that they don't qualify for free or heavily subsidized housing, but they struggle with high real estate prices. Do you agree, Emmanuel, that the middle-class segment, the middle-class families are getting left behind?
I can understand that. I can understand the frustration of the middle class. Many of our employed middle class families are still not able to afford housing. Why? Because of the cost of the housing beyond the reach of their incomes. So unless lower and deliberate program are addressed or are initiated by the government that will target not only the poorest of the poor. I can understand that. I think the priority should be the poorest of the poor. But you cannot leave the middle class far behind. They are working. Many of them have double jobs, but still they are not able to afford housing, education, and particularly when healthcare crisis hits their families, they are left without much to go to. So the government welfare program should not only be addressed or focused on the poorest of the poor, which I can understand, but then the poorest of the poor should be joined by the middle class in terms of the housing, healthcare, and education requirements that should be met by the government. Right now, I hate to say this, and I don't want to be always saying that we don't trust the government. Of course, we trust the government. However, we need to make sure that the programs are being initiated. 2028 is coming up, the 2028 election. So housing is a major election issue. Healthcare is a major election issue. Education is a major election issue. But definitely the government should not only address these issues when elections are coming up, and they should also be focused on who to reach. And they should have a vision on, just like before, we had projects that were available, that projects, housing projects that the government initiated that made housing affordable to employed Filipinos. Right now, the private sector is the most active, in initiating these projects, but that will not be enough. The government should be the biggest buyer, the biggest financier of housing, both for the poorest of the poor and the middle class in the country.
But the government, Emmanuel, is also exploring and expanding into rental housing. From an economic standpoint, should we be shifting the focus from ownership to strengthening the rental market?
The biggest dream of Filipino families to own their own home. So it will be very difficult to say that it will make sense to just lease or rent without owning the home. That will go against the major dream of our Filipino families. Many of our families, actually, the poorest of the poor. You talk about those who do not own homes. Even in their deaths, they are not able to own their own plots. They are also being driven out or being evacuated in their deaths from from cemeteries because the lease is only up to 5 years. So people, the major dream, the ultimate dream of Filipino families to own their own homes. So I don't think any economic argument can go against can go against that dream and diminish the impact of owning, the fulfillment of owning their own homes.
Well, you're very right there. I mean, the dream is still for ownership for Filipinos to say, I own this house, I own my own home. But let's talk about the economic impact of the expanded 4PH program, Emmanuel. Well, large-scale housing construction definitely stimulates industries such as cement, steel, and transport. How strong do you think is the multiplier effect of a program like this on our economy?
Oh, definitely. It will have a big multiplier effect. Any construction has it has a multi-layer of participants in building, from not just the cement and the steel. Those are just what we see. But we also have major electrical, we have major infrastructure going into the home, the furnishings, everything. It's like it's more than 8 times, I believe, that can be accomplished or achieved by a housing project. Definitely, housing is a major multiplier in our economy. However, I think the housing project should not only cover the 4 Ps, but they should also cover everybody by making the cost of housing affordable to the majority of our population.
All right, and just as a final question, 5 or 10 years from now, what indicators should we look at to judge whether this program, whether the administration's efforts are truly working? Is it home ownership rates? Is it poverty reduction or something else?
I think all of them. Poverty rate, because if you are poor, you cannot afford the housing. And I think to fulfill that ultimate goal, that ultimate dream of owning your own homes, I think that should be a major indicator. But definitely, affordability of living, the cost of living in the country should be made lighter. It should be made lower so that more people are able to feed their own families, provide shelter, make transportation available, and address the education crisis that we are currently having, because that will have a major impact on our economy. Right now, when the government, its own agencies, own departments are saying that we are undergoing a major education crisis, I think we have to look forward 5 years, 10 years down the road when our children join the workforce. If they are not properly educated, they did not get the proper skills, they did not get the proper values and attitude, the economy will also suffer. That will be the macro impact of education crisis, the macro impact of not attending to the problems that we are facing right now. And, finally, I think the issue of corruption in the country will have to be addressed sooner than later, and show the people that the tax money that the government is collecting from the population is not being stolen, it's not being robbed, and the government is effective in protecting the treasury of our country.
Well, we're going to save that topic for another conversation. We'd love to have you back here on the show, but for now, thank you very much for sharing all your insights. That was Emmanuel Leyco, fellow at the Center for People Empowerment in Governance, or CENPEG.
Thank you very much, Pauline, and good morning to everyone.